they will share with this thing, with their what they have found, what they have experienced, which is best practices for all of us. This year, we are going to double that. We are going to invest $60 million. We are going to send out at least 20,000 youth again to oversee, to learn from each other. So maybe a year later, we can share, we can learn more good news, good information from them. So we are looking forward, and hopefully we can join again tomorrow, next year, and 100 years later, if we're still alive. Okay? But once again, we can join each other spiritually. Am I right? So not just physically. So once again, welcome you guys come to Taiwan. I believe some of you is come to Taiwan at the first time. Other than having meeting here, enjoy the good food here, because it's the oldest development area. This area is the oldest development area from Taiwan. So there's lots of good food and good temple here. So once again, enjoy Taiwan and enjoy your conference here. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister, for the opening remarks. It just reminds me that, yes, we have the best food here in this area. And maybe before we are inviting our photographer to be on stage to get prepared for the group photo, I want to teach you one greeting words that we always say from Taipei, 假霸尾. 吃饱嘛, 假霸尾 means have you eaten? And that would be kind of like, good morning, how are you doing? What's up, man? What's up, dude? Sort of like that. So repeat after me. 假霸尾. Great job again. 假霸尾. Great. That really feeds the spirit and also the inspiration here at the venue. That when you greet to Taiwanese, to the local friends, you always say 假霸尾. They will like, okay, I'll treat you everything. Now, we would like to invite our photographer to be on the stage and join us together. Everybody want to take a group photo. We want to include each and every one of you. That's why we invite the friends from my left-hand side and right-hand side to the table. Please stand up and circle around in the center of the venue so that we can include each and every one of our friends here at the venue. So the left-hand side and right-hand side of friends, please gather together, squeeze in to the middle of the venue so that we can have a historical commencement of the moment to remark the 2026 Global Youth Trends Forum. To remember the time, remember the year, remember the most important day of your life. Okay, get ready. If you have your national flag, raise it in your hand. If you have any gestures or pins or any presents that you've got from the new friends, show it to us. Okay, everybody squeeze in. Still to the middle, to the center a little bit. Let's give it a try for the first time. 我们现在现场试一下拍张大合照. So after countdown 3, 2, 1, show your spirit, okay? 3, 2, 1. 2026 Global Youth Trends Forum officially begin. One more. Let's try it again. One more. Show the youth spirit. 3, 2, 1. And from left to the right, we have video taping here, right? 我们从左边到右边再一次迎接也有这个动态的摄影机. Okay? 3, 2, 1. 2026, Happy New Year! Wave to the camera. Hello! Hello from Taipei. Hello from the world. Welcome to 2026 Global Youth Trends Forum. Great job! We need one more, the video taping. 我们再动态录影再一次.好, from left hand, from your right hand to the left, okay? From here, 3, 2, 1. Let's wave to the camera. Welcome to 2026 Global Youth Trends Forum here in Taipei. Great job. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. We are officially begin the forum of the day. We are ready to hear out more keynotes and the sharing session of the morning. And just a friendly reminder, if you ever need some water or hot tea, we prepare it outside the venue. So please use it if you ever need it. And now we are moving on into the highlights of the morning, that all the sharing sessions provided from experts from different sectors, from the government side, from the private sector side, that are going to share their ideas, the practice throughout sustainability. So first of all, we would love to hear the ideas and also the perspective from the Minister of the Ministry of Environment here in the Republic of China, Taiwan. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Minister Peng Qiming. Welcome, Minister.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's my honor to be here and to be the Minister of Environment to say something to you, because I was young before, just like you. And I will talk something, maybe move this stage. I will stand here. The first one I want to tell you about climate governance. I know you are here. Climate justice is very important. And I would like to introduce myself first. When I was young, I want to be a scientist, meteorology. My dream is go to NASA, NOAA in the US to be a scientist. It's a very lucky life. And I remember I got my PhD about 30 years old. But I think I just got tickets to be a scientist. But it's very challenging. You know, to be a professor, the salary is not high. And the role is what you expect theirs. And so I think about I should do something. So when I got my PhD, I try to learn. I remember during that time, the Google just launched. I used the Google search to find my dream. And later, I traveled around the world to find what's the weather industries. And finally, I write a proposal to set up a weather company. I become an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur means to set up the company by myself from zero, from one person, me, to be 100%. And so I set up a weather company in Taiwan and have a very strong linkage to the world. And I also joined something about open data, open government. It's very challenging because that means you can push the government to open and give the opportunity, because when the government owns lots of data, that means the treasure is there, but government do not understand how to use the data. But the private sector, the young generation can use the data to trigger the business. That's what I did. So I spent a lot of time here and also joined the COP meeting. COP means the climate change UNFCCC conference. I joined to be a consultant of NGO. So I joined lots of 11 COPs already. And 2 years ago, I got a phone call from my president and my premier. And they say, okay, you already did a lot. You say something to society a lot, but no action. Would you like to join the government to do really action for Taiwan? And I think about 1 week, I call back to him, say yes. Yes. So I changed my role to government official about 2 years, already 1 year and 7 months. And I remember the President Lai, and when he was vice president, he had a dream to give the young generation, because the President Lai, his family is not rich, very poor. And just like a coal mining company, a coal mining family. And his father dies when he was about 2 or 3 years old. So when he had the power to do something, so he promotes something, because I am the guy, have the dream, experience, just very familiar with the Ministry of Environment, Education, the young generation program. So he asked me, okay, is this good for the young generation? I say, it's 100%, I totally agree, because that can trigger your ideal happen in your future. It's a kind of investment for the young generation. And I would like to say something to the climate change. The global climate governance meet a headwind and the huge turbulence. You can guess who is he? Who is he? And because the U.S. changed the weather of the climate change. They don't believe this. So I think it's a turbulence in the world. But we are lucky enough because although the U.S. do not follow the COP, but globally, no countries step back, still moving forward. And I would like to say something to you about the climate extreme happened in Taiwan last year, because we meet some three extreme events. One is the Typhoon Dennis hit. Because, you know, in Taiwan, you are lucky enough when you come here in summer times. Sometimes the typhoon will go to hit Taiwan from the east to west. But this typhoon from the west to east, they land in this area. This area meet a very strong wind for 3 hours. So it's huge damage in Taiwan. And later on, heavy rain continue. In 1 month, 2 extreme in Taiwan. And another event in last September. Last September, the typhoon did not go to Taiwan, go to Philippines. And however, the outskirts of the moisture coupled with the monsoon flow, so heavy rain in Hualien. So another landslide lake crisis happened there. And I would like to show you, this is the first one, is the damaged solar panels. I'm the first minister to handling huge 121,000 pieces of the solar PV. In the world, there was no record damage here. I spent about 2 months to handling about this one. And also the roof of the house damaged. So the obstacle, you know, this one is very dangerous for the health. So we find some methodology to help the people to remodel the house together. And later on, this is a landslide. The landslide, very huge, and the sediment landed, flooding. So you can imagine just like a damage after a war like this one. For example, the landfill west wash away. And also this is like the damage, like after war. You cannot believe this. And we are lucky enough because we have lots of the young generation volunteers. I think you are good enough because I found lots of the young generation, they are quite fashion and are less than 30 years old. I don't think they did their housework in their home. I don't think. But they went there by themselves, take the train, 3 hours trains, and stay there 1 day, and dusty, dirty, and they are very happy to do this. 500,000 volunteers, young generation, working together to clean this town. And this is very interesting things because, you know, because the young generation did a lot, it's very good. But we meet a big problem because the central government and local government did not the same party. So we meet the conflict in the beginning. And later on, we do something different right now. And we are lucky enough to spend about 3 months. We almost finished and give the township and a clean home. And this month we will have a celebration to thank you all the people to help the Hualien. And another thing is, what can we do? And the first one is the COP meeting. The COP meeting is the one we should do something together to reach the goal of the climate change. The global warming temperature will not reach 2 or 3 degrees. To be honest, and right now, all of the trend of each country, the NDC, National Determined Contribution, their goal, it cannot reach 1.5 degree global warming. It's about 2 or 3 degrees. And so this year, in COP30 in Brazil, Berlin, you know, there was 3 meanings. One meaning is this is the founder of the UNFCCC, Brazil. And the second is the 10 years of the Paris Agreement. The last one is the COP30. So it's very meaningful about this COP meeting. But, you know, although we have the Berlin political package, but it's very weak, very weak, very weak. That weak means did not huge progress about the climate change or something. And in Taiwan, what we did, my first job to be the minister is to enhance the ambition of the Taiwan. So we sent our NDC in year 2015, this is first president, second president Tsai, and the President Lai. I raised the ambitions for Taiwan. But you know, it's not easy. For example, Paraguay, you are lucky enough. You have huge dam. Your water, from the water resources, 100% of your electric power is from the water. You are lucky enough. You are 100, RE 100 country is Paraguay. But in Taiwan, we do not have the resources about this one. So we can stably change the ambition. So it's not easy for us. But finally, we talk to each ministry. We should work together to reach the goal. We have the responsibility. And we also have the ICT industry. We need the power. So finally, we set up the new goal. It's in Asia, just second to Japan. It's not easy, but we want to do this. The second is if we want to reach the goal, the carbon pricing is the most important. That means if you emit, you need to pay. So we spend a lot of time to negotiate with the enterprise. You need to pay. It's a carbon fee system. That means the standard of the carbon you emit, you should pay to the public, to the government, and the government will use the money to do something investment for the climate change. And we also have the ETS. So in the future in Taiwan, we will have a strong linkage with the other country. For example, I just last November I went to Paraguay, signed an MOU with their environmental minister. We will have an agreement about a carbon credit under the Paris Agreement about this issue. So in the future, if you want to do something green, it's not only in your countries. You can do it globally. For example, you can go to Vietnam to do something, Thailand to do something, and the carbon credit can be back to Taiwan. But it's not totally to buy the other countries' carbon credit. It should be about 5% can buy from the international cooperation. And we also have the ETS, emission trading. So right now, the trading, what you mean is the tools of investment. But in the future, the carbon can be traded in Taiwan, and we will have we are the second or third country we have the trading system. And we also will have the C-band. You know, C-band is the most important one. The EU C-band and the UK C-band is the most important one to trigger each country. They should do their carbon pricing system. In Taiwan, we also will have our C-band in the future. And another one is I signed the MOU with Paraguay. You know, I recommend if you have time, you should go to the Paraguay. Paraguay is a very beautiful place, huge land, and the population just 1/3 of the Taiwan. But their area is about 8 to 9 times of the Taiwan land. So I like this country because they are very friendly. And to be the Minister of Environment, I found they are the #1, the sustainability index in South America. It's very interesting thinking about this. And I fly to there to talk to them. And in the beginning, we are thinking only the climate change carbon credit. Later on, we extend to the climate governance, circular economy, and also the environmental governance. We have 12 projects working with each other. And later on, this is what we see there. There are huge dam there. It's very beautiful. It's a seven sightseeing place, the greatest sightseeing place in the world. It's a huge dam. You cannot believe you can see such a huge dam to generate the power. And what we did right now is after the COP, because right now is COP 30. I am the only environmental minister cannot go to the COP in the world, because Taiwan is not a member of the United Nations, so we cannot go to the COP meeting. But before I was minister, I can go there to be the NGO, to join any kind of meeting. But when I am the minister, I should join to be the negotiators. But I did not get any kind of invitation. So I want to change the way to linkage with the other countries. For example, Paraguay is also our friend, and also Belize or some of the country. So I will encourage our young generation, we show more action about this one. I want to help the young generation. We will have the climate youth negotiators in the future. And probably we can join your team, and you can join our team working together. So we will set up a climate change international cooperation office in my ministries. So I welcome all of you. If you want to work with you, for example, I can also work with your Climate Justice Foundation. We can do something. And another very interesting thing is about the future. The future is something like climate technology. 4 months ago, I got a messenger from the Minister of Germany, Environmental Minister of Germany. And he sent me the green tech ban in Germany last year. And what it looks like is about 3.4 million people doing the green technology, and about 9% of the GDP of the German economy, and growing up about 3.1%. So the number is very wonderful. So I use their methodology to calculate that in Taiwan. Very similar, but it's not so high. So my boss, my president, my premier say, okay, we can follow the German ways to do. For example, our GDP and our export and also employment, 380,000 people already did the green technology job. What's that? This is the number. I will not to say too much about you. We have a very clear definition in Taiwan. So when I report this to the other country minister, they are thinking, okay, we should use the same way together to calculate each country. Maybe we can have more cooperation in the future. For example, in Germany, the number one is a circular economy, 28%, and also the sustainable mobilities. For example, in German, when you think about this, it's Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, car industries. And this number is like this. It's a huge transition from fossil fuel industry car to the EV car. And so this is very interesting about this one. In Taiwan, our pie is not so huge, but we have the green industry supply chain in Taiwan. So you can see, right now, in German, 9% of the GDP. In Taiwan, is 2% of the GDP. And if we cover the supply chain, it's 5.6% of the GDP. So we can have very strong linkage in the future. For example, circular economy. I think you can understand what is circular economy. Recycling is very important. And energy efficiency, and also renewable energy system. Also, forest, agriculture, and also the water management, 7 sector. Probably we can have more in the future. And another thing is the green collar. This thinking is from one generation. One of the young generation go to my office to learn something, and he found a report about LinkedIn green collar report. So I found the local job hunter portal, and we get the number from what is a green job. And for example, 8 years ago, only 1,000 company hired the green ability. Right now, 4 times. And also, right now, about 30,000 people did the job. So it's a very interesting trend. I think not only in Taiwan, in the global, if the government have the ambition to do this, you can encourage the younger generation the to the green, and you can get a good paid job and also help the country together. And so we work with lots of the university together to have the training for them, and it's very wonderful. For example, we joined our Ministry of Education, their program. Very wonderful. These 4 young people also go to the COP30 to learn something together. And I would like to join the Ministry of Education, your program. Very wonderful. Ministry of Environment will support you in the future. And also use climate action. We have some workshop and a program for the high school student also. So we think the young generation is very important to the climate change work. And another thing is this in Mandarin Chinese means this is coffee grounds. But in Mandarin Chinese, it means playboy. You know, it's a coffee beans, coffee grounds. When you drink the coffee, you did not see the west of the coffee. And but the Mandarin Chinese man is the cheater or playboy. You know the meaning about this. Maybe later on Taiwanese can introduce this to all of you. But we make a linkage from the West to resources together. So this is my last page. The last page is, I just finished the New Year Eve with Jolene Tsai. Their concert is very wonderful. I was there to look at it. It's a huge peak because I handle in the West food a lot. And later on, okay, he used just like a zoo. You know, Jolene Tsai, I know him because I'm the fans of Jolene Tsai's. And although I'm 55 right now, but when she was young, she got lots of the humor and lots of the gossip. And, but he standing alone, working very hard. And every kind of thing, what she did is beyond what she think, step by step. So I think the young generation, if you have the dream, you can follow the way of the Jolene Tsai. You know, it's the #1 music concert in Taiwan and also in the Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you so much for all the inspirations and a very down-to-the-earth perspective. I believe we all learned so much. Thank you again. And now, next up, we would love to invite the Youth Climate Justice Fund, the executive, Mr. Joshua Amposim. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. And there's no better way to start 2026 than to be with amazing, talented young people from all around the world. My name is Joshua Amposim. I'm from Ghana. It's in West Africa, a relatively smaller country. And just like you, I started my journey being a student, having big dreams about how to make my country, Ghana, and my continent, Africa, a better place. Let's put it very broadly, just a better place. And the way to start that was that because I grew up in a small community, I saw the impacts of climate change on my community. Droughts, floods, heat, all these were very present. And people did not even know that this was climate change. And they thought this could be from the gods or from any other thing. But this is not man-made. And through education, I came across the word climate change and understood that this is the reason for the floods, the reason for the heat, the reason for the droughts. And this became my purpose and my mission was how can I work to inspire other young people and to work with my peers to create solutions around climate. But here's a problem. When many people think about young people and climate change, this is the image they see in their mind. They see angry young people who are not happy with the current system, who are demanding for governments to change things, demanding for business leaders to change the way the world operates. This is the image they see. And while this image has helped put attention to the issue, we and you as young people are more than this. Today, when you talk to a young person about climate change, they think about a bunch of different things. It's a career opportunity. It's a way to get a job. It's a way for them to influence the way the world works. It's a way for them to actually achieve financial injustice that happens in the world we live in today. It's a way for them to care for their family, for their friends, and for the community they live in. And it's a way for them to make the world simply a better place. But for that to happen, we need to think about a few things. And some of those few things is the idea that if young people are more than just demanding and acting, and we actually have an opportunity to create a better world, we need to do it together. But currently in the world we live in, not every young person have an opportunity to be in a room like this. Not every young person have an opportunity to have better education that can actually tell them about climate change, sustainability. Not every young person have an opportunity to actually be part of the future we want to create. And we need to change a few things so that we do not leave those young people behind. I come from Africa. It's a region that is very blessed with a lot of natural resources, part of which is critical minerals. Critical minerals that are needed for the green transition that is ahead of us. Critical minerals that are needed for the technological revolution that we live in. Minerals, cobalt, nickel, that are needed for the solar panels, for the phones we use, for the technology that we're going to rely on. But yet, a lot of some of these young people are only contributing to the mining of the minerals. They are not forming part of the decision making. They are not forming part of how the world think about these minerals. And it's not just in Africa. We've seen this in Latin America. We've seen this in Asia. We've seen this around the world that not every young person have that opportunity. So what do we need to change to make it possible for us to have that future? And I am speaking here today because I've been part of two instrumental organizations. One of them is the Youth Climate Justice Fund, where I serve as a co-executive director. And the other one is the Green Africa Youth Organization, which I started when I was a student. And I'm going to use these two examples of organizations that have helped create and build to tell you the power that you hold and the power that is in this room right now. And there are three key words in these two stories: education, skills and talent, and funding or finance. Let me start with my first organization, the Green Africa Youth Organization. In my undergraduate studies, second year, I heard of the word climate change for the first time. This was in 2013. When I heard climate change, I told myself, wait, so there's a big global problem, and yet no one is doing anything about it. This was my feeling. Of course, the world was doing something about it. The cops were doing something about it. The UN was doing something about it. But it felt insufficient. So I asked myself, what can I do about this? And immediately, the first thing I saw around my community was waste. There was waste everywhere in my community. Whether it's food waste, whether it's municipal waste, household waste, whether it's from industries, whether it's from building and construction, waste was a huge issue in my community. Energy is a big issue in Africa, energy access. We have almost about 40% of our population who do not have access to electricity. Big problem. So I saw these problems and I put a group of students together and we told ourselves, what can we do as students to help solve this problem? Fast forward, 5 years on, as students, we started working with our municipalities in our cities. One of our goals was, how do we make our cities zero waste? Now, zero waste doesn't mean that you do not generate waste, but it means that every waste you generate goes back to becoming a raw material for something else. We developed the first zero waste strategy for the city of Accra in Ghana. The same strategy has been adopted by 4 other countries in Africa, and this was a group of students. Today, we move over 400 tons of waste every year from a city. That is as much as, per month, as much as a round-trip flight from Accra to London. Emissions reduced. And because of that, we won the S-Shot prize and got £1 million to support this project. And this was started by a group of students. On energy, we're currently working on household rooftop solar projects in 5 countries in Africa and designing community solar farms that allow for young people in those communities to not just have access to electricity, but to actually be part of the design of the energy system so they can learn and apply their talent in expanding the projects. But one thing is very, very critical: funding. When you are educated and you can do any of these projects, there is one thing that you're going to face that remains a challenge, and that is access to funding. And I thought this was a problem only for young people in Africa. I work for the United Nations in New York, and I had the chance to work with young people globally. And I really, truly realized that access to funding was not just a problem for the global South. It was a problem for young people everywhere to have access to money to build new ideas, to test new things, to reimagine the way the world could work, to redesign the way the world operates. So because of this, we started something in Africa with the first organization I founded. We started something called the Africa Climate Innovation Challenge. We made a challenge to students. How can you redesign the way your community addresses climate change? They come together, and they do not do this just among themselves as students. They have to actually identify a community and work directly with the community to design the solution. They come together each year, and they pitch their solutions. And they get cash prizes or funding to implement their projects. Another thing we did was research. We realized that a lot of students actually, during the undergraduate program, have big ambition to do research that could help solve some of the world's biggest problems. But the only reason they are not able to pursue those research is that they do not have funding to do it. So instead, majority of students do their project work or their thesis or dissertation just to get a grade. Even though in their hearts, they really want to be able to do a project that will produce a big solution. So we started something called a climate research fund for students that allows students to access funding to do their project work and their research while they are students. By doing this, they get a chance to experience what it is in researching solutions that are needed in the real world. They get a chance, not at the time when they are desperate looking for a job, but at a chance where they still have the guidance of their professors, the guidance of their tutors, to be able to design those new solutions. But in a global context, this, like I said, is not an Africa problem. This was a problem everywhere. So about 3 years ago, myself and a few friends from around the world, we came together and we started the Youth Climate Justice Fund. We were very unhappy about one thing. The Fridays for Future movement, all the strikes that were happening, we saw that big foundations were using images of young people holding those placards and saying that young people are the future. This is the generation that will solve the climate crisis. But they were not giving money and funding to these same young people who were they believing will help solve the problem. So we asked them one question. You need to put your money where your mouth is. If you believe in the power of young people, you need to make funding available to support their dreams. This is what we've done in the past 3 years. In 3 years, we've been able to move over $4 million to young people from around the world in grants, giving them funding to support the projects that they want to do. We've funded about 115 groups in more than 51 countries, and we will keep doing this work in challenging the status quo that young people are just advocates, because we are more than that. The future remains youth-led. And this is very important. If we leave young people in the green transition or in the transition towards the future that is low carbon and resilient to climate change, we are going to fail. Because 10 years ago, I was a student. Today, I'm not. Today, I'm in a position where I'm influencing access to funding to other young people. Today, you are a student. 5 years from now, you might not be a student anymore. You will probably be working in a company, in a ministry, in a government office, in a business. You will be holding a decision-making power. If we do not invest in you today, we have already failed in your ability to be a better leader. And currently, there are 1.3 billion young people around the world. If those 1.3 billion young people do not have access to education, to skills development, to funding for their projects, they cannot be the leaders we want them to be. And here are a few things that have really inspired me. In Indonesia, there's a group that we fund who are producing solar panels and supporting farmers to have access to electricity. Though the focus is on access to electricity, what they are really changing is the income levels and the financial injustice to fishermen in this community. By having access to electricity, they can store the fish. They can sell them at better prices. They are able to take care of their families. It is not just an energy problem, and climate change is not just a climate problem. It's a social justice issue. If we can solve this crisis, we can lift people out of poverty. In Mongolia, a group of young people who are also students are helping to solve one of the biggest problems in the country, air pollution. And they are doing it using air monitoring sensors, installing them all across the country, working with health professionals, and working with the local government to ensure that every location that have high levels of air pollution can be dealt with. By doing this, they are reducing the number of deaths in Mongolia that is related to air pollution. In Latin America, in Ecuador, there is a river called the Peshua River. This river supports a lot of indigenous communities for food, for ecosystem services, for their livelihood. This river is at the threat from the private sector companies. A group of young people are coming together using law, arts, to create a movement that can seek legal rights for this river. Because that river is the life of all the indigenous people who live along that river. And they are not scientists. They are not climate technicians. They are just a group of young people using music, using videos, using pictures, and using the law to secure those rights. The future of young people is possible, but we need a few skills to be able to do that when I think of green-collar jobs and the future that is ahead of us. One of them is systems thinking. How do we think of climate and sustainability not as an independent topic, but as something that cuts across all fields, cuts across health, it cuts across income, it cuts across jobs? The second thing that I want you to think around is the technical literacy. We will not need everyone to become a climate scientist, but we will need people who can also be able to think around energy systems. We know that we want solar panels, but what happens when those solar panels are broken? When the batteries in the electric vehicles, when they are destroyed, where do they go? How do we think from a system perspective and start creating solutions around that? And then entrepreneurial. Not everything is going to be done by the government. Not everything is going to be done by NGOs. Businesses and the future of businesses is going to be very important. What is the future of work and what is the future of businesses in the world we live in today? The next thing is justice and ethics. How do we create a world where in solving this problem, we do not put other people to a disadvantage? How do we create a world that in using that electric vehicle or having that solar panel, we do not have other children in mining sites, mining for those minerals? How do we create that world? That is the task ahead of you, and that is something you need to think about. And then the last one is collaboration across disciplines. One of the biggest challenges I saw in my career was people who think about climate think it's the most important thing in this world. Those who think about food think food is the most important thing in this world. There are those who work on financial freedom and they think that economics is the most important thing in this world. Everything is important in the world we live in today. All form of injustice is injustice. Racial injustice is equally the same as financial injustice. It's the same as the threat to democracy. We will need us to work together across all disciplines. For those who work on arts, who work on movies, those who are content creators, those who work in energy systems, those who work in financial systems, we need to collaborate across these disciplines so we can create solutions that truly last. Lastly, real change happens when young people are not just inspired, but you are given the resources that you need to be able to create the change with your voice and the agency that you hold. The photo in this background is from Thailand. I was there at the start of December last month, meeting with all the young people we fund in Asia. And I was so inspired by the vision that all these young people hold. And that vision is possible because they are receiving the funding, they are partnering with their governments, and they are working with their communities to create solutions. The future belongs to you. You have the power, you have the partnerships, you have the access to be able to build it. The question to you is, are you ready to take that opportunity? Are you ready to challenge yourself to go beyond being a student, going beyond being an advocate, going beyond whatever you're currently doing, and really building what you want your world to look like in the future? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you so much. As Gen Z, I still remember vividly like what Joshua just shared 10, 15, I would say 15, 20 years ago, where people just shouted out very loud and have all their gestures, the posters, where we didn't have iPhone, we didn't have the AI assistants to help, but then we all care about the climate crisis. That was back then, the topic. But right now, we understand there are so many new ideas and how you build, how you act to be more down to the ground. That was really a change for so many years. So now we would love to hear from voices from the private sector, since we still have some online connecting issue with the Vanessa Santini, who's going to share with us her idea later on. So before that, we would love to hear our local perspective, and we would love to welcome Mr. Vincent Chen, who is the Deputy Executive Director to the Delta Electronics Foundation from Taiwan. Let's give Vincent a round of applause. Welcome.
Good day, everyone, and thank you very much for having me here today. It's truly a pleasure to be with so many young people from different backgrounds, cultures, and dreams. You represent the future, not just your own countries, but of our shared planet. My name is Vincent Chen. I joined Delta Electronics in 2004. Excuse me. At that time, I was not a climate expert. I was not an AI specialist. And honestly, I do not imagine I would still be here more than 20 years later. But I stay here for one simple reason. Thank you. Delta believes that business should not grow at the expense of the planet. It should grow with the planet. Today, I want to share a story with you, not just about Delta, but about how your generation fit into the future of the sustainability. Let me start with our founder, Mr. Bruce Jen. He once said, people must learn to coexist with our environment and adjust our behaviors to be in harmony with nature. The idea may sound simple, but in the year of the 1970s, it was actually very radical. Delta was founded in 1975 as a power electronic company, and in 1990, The Delta Electronics Foundation was established long before sustainability became a global trend. Mr. Chen believed something very important. Harmony with nature is not a sacrifice. It is a design choice. The belief shaped how we design products, buildings, and the education programs. And the most importantly, how we invest in people. Today, climate change, biodiversity loss, and the social inequality are deeply connected. They are complex problems. And the complex problem cannot be solved by one discipline alone. Engineer alone cannot fix climate change. Policymaker alone cannot protect biodiversity. And the technology alone cannot save the planet. This is why the Delta Foundation focuses on talent cultivation. We believe the most important technology is still human capability. If we want a future where people and the nature coexist, we must invest in people who can think across boundaries, across science, policy, society, and the culture. And that brings me to our Scholar program to show you how we do that. The Delta Electronical Scholarship is very special. We do not limit applying by academic discipline. We do not ask, what is your major? We ask, excuse me, we ask only one question. What solution did you want to develop for environmental sustainability? Since it is established over 20 years ago, more than 150 graduate students have been supported by this scholarship. But what is even more interesting is how the fields of study have changed over time. Let me briefly walk you through this journey. From the year of 2005 to 2009, in the early years, most scholars studies architecture, urban planning, and environmental science. The work was founded and focused on the physical infrastructure. But from the year to 2010 and 2014, then we saw environmental management, business, and the supply chain management rising. Sustainability entered the world of systems and operations. From the year of 2015 to 2020, humanities, energy policy, and the social dimension become more important. People realize sustainability is not just technology. It's not technique. It's deeply human. From the year of 2020 to 2025, that's last year, today the top fields include energy innovation, policy, governance, and AI applications. This tells us something very important. Sustainability is becoming interdisciplinary by nature. And here is the message for you. Your major doesn't define your impact. Your mindset does. Our alumni now work in governments, NGOs, business, and the research institutions around the world. They are turning ideas into real solutions. Our Delta Foundation now is working with the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, on a biodiversity assessment framework called RHINO, Rapid High Integrative Nature Positive Outcomes. This partnership is not just about measuring the biodiversity. It's about connecting ideas to real actions. This is not about the good intentions. It's about measurable, verified impact. Our coral restoration project in Taiwan has been selected as one of only 20 global pioneer projects. Why coral reefs? Because they are one of the most vulnerable ecosystems on Earth. And they are also powerful indicator of climate change. This means Taiwan is contributing to a global biodiversity measurable framework, not just receiving one. Since 2009, the Delta Foundation has participated in the UN Climate Change Conference, COPs. We have organized for joining 34 side events and the forums. COP is not just a negotiable space. It's a learning platform. It's where governments, business, NGOs, scientists, and interesting young and increasingly young people come together. Your voice matters in this space. And the future COP agenda will depend on your participation. Ideas become powerful when they are measurable. Since 2006, data has built Delta has built over 32 LEED certified green building worldwide, including factory, office, data centers, and the donated campus. By year of 2024, this building have saved over 45 million kilowatt hours of electricity and reduced 23,000 tons of CO2 emissions. These buildings are not symbols. They are living classrooms. They show that the sustainability works when you design it into everyday life. This year at the COP30 in Brazil, our theme is AI for Green. AI is not here to replace people. It's here to accelerate learning and decision making. At the COP30, we organized sessions on green and resilient building, ocean climate society connections. The focus is not slogans. The focus is tools that work. For your generation, this means something very important. Sustainability literacy plus AI literacy equal to future readiness. At the COP30, you will hear from 2 speakers from the Delta. Our CEO, Ms. Wing Chen, will present how data-driven coral restoration can support the ecosystem recovery. And I will share how AI-powered learning tools, such as lead AI co-learning assistants, and help policymakers and the professions build green cities faster. It's different topics, but same message. Sustainability is a teamwork and a team effort. No single hero, only systems, trust, and the collaborations. So we welcome you to join with us. So this, if you want to know more about how we did for this planet, you can scan this QR code. And we also offer scholars to young people to continue the sustainability learning. So let's do it smarter, greener, and together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Executive Director. Thank you so much for sharing the approaches perspective from private sectors. And apart from our local experiences, we would love to hear more approaches from different countries, different practice, and also focus on powering sustainabilities from different corners of the globe. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce you the youngest minister in Paraguay's history, and also she's the representative of Paraguay at the Pan-American Forum for Young Politicians in Buenos Aires and CPEC in Hungary in 2024. Now we're going to introduce you Her Excellency Ms. Selma Agüero Cabrero. Welcome.
Your Excellencies, Ministers, authorities present, esteemed panelists and fellow youth leaders. It's a privilege to represent Paraguay in this youth dialogue and action for a sustainable future. I address you today as the Minister of Youth of my country, with the honor and great responsibility of being the youngest minister in the history of my country and of Iberoamerica. At 26 years old, I began this journey by getting involved in leadership, like many of you, starting in high school and then in the university. And I represent a nation that does not wait for the future, but is building. With young people involved, not only being heard, young people being part of the decision making. At the National Secretary of Youth, we work under a clear mission to promote the public policies that our young population truly needs. Paraguay has a treasure, we always say that, which is our demographic bonus. Paraguay is at a unique moment in its history with a young and vibrant heart. Nearly 60% of our population is under age of 30. We are a demographic powerhouse strategically located in the heart of South America, producing food for the world, while keeping our traditions, our faith, and the value of family. But potential alone, is not enough. Potential alone is not enough because we are the demographic powerhouse, but that is why we have focused on results-based management, transforming international cooperation into real high-level opportunities. I would like to share with you how we are achieving this through concrete actions. First, we invest in education. Thanks to our alliance with universities from different countries around the world, in the first year alone, more than 3,000 young Paraguayans gained access to scholarships at different levels. In addition, together with OIA, we promote the Digital Skills Program through which Paraguay achieved second place regionally in participation in this field of the future. We don't stop there. We bring technology to territory with the first International AI Congress entitled Applied Artificial Intelligence, Employability, and Professional Future in the Digital Era. Together with the University of Complutense de Madrid and La Ethics Master, reaching more than 20,000 young people with practical tools for the labor market. We also carry boot camps where young people graduate as programmers, connecting them to job placement platforms. And we recently celebrated the first edition of the Global Conquerors Initiative, which has a profound cultural exchange at the heart of our institution. We designed a tailored project that allowed a young leader from Taiwan to experience our culture in depth during September, Youth Month. The experience left an indelible mark on both the intern and our institution, thanks to the firm commitment to giving international cooperation a human face. With this same forward-looking vision, we are expanding our roadmap through the app Joven. This digital application will centralize all public offerings aimed at young people, from educational programs to job opportunities and other benefits, so that every young Paraguayan can take advantage of them. Our goal is to eliminate bureaucracy and transform the relation between the state and the citizens, ensuring transparency, efficient management that is, above all, accessible to all. Taiwan is also providing sustained collaboration in educational initiatives in our country, training young Paraguayans through its scholarship programs, and also through the Universidad Politécnica Taiwan Paraguay. This university is a legacy of Presidents Horacio Cartes and Tsai Ing-wen, who in 2017 agreed on its creation to impact the lives of our young Paraguayans, bidding on the development and modernity of our homeland. Taiwan's inspire us deeply. Taiwan is a nation that taught us through action, not just words, that education has the power to profoundly transform a society. Several years ago, Taiwan discovered that the word not confirms that investing in education is investing in freedom, innovation, and progress. That said, I am convinced that not to connect with our young generation, we must speak the same language, that is innovation and results. Paraguay is ready to contribute and to learn from this global alliance. I deeply value this meeting and trust that it will be as enriching for the leaders of all the countries present, and that it will be further strengthen this. To conclude, I wish to reiterate what our government has expressed regarding recent events involving our sister nation of Taiwan, with whom we share more than 60 years of true friendship. A republic recognized worldwide for its resilience and exemplary democracy. The Republic of Paraguay condemns the large-scale military exercises in the vicinity of the island of the Republic of Taiwan, China. will threaten the stability of the Indo-Pacific region. Our President Santiago Peña consistently reaffirmed in the world's most important forums that sovereignty of Taiwan. As a young person, as a minister, I reaffirm our unwavering solidarity with the people and the government of Taiwan, always defending the right of nations to live in peace, to live in freedom and sovereignty. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Minister Soma Aguero. Thank you so much for the sharing and bring the words from our beloved friend Paraguay, the country, to Taiwan. And next up, we would love to invite our ally country from Belize, the director to the Department of Youth Service, Ministry of Tourism, Youth, Sports, and Diaspora Relations of Belize to share her insights with us. So now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in inviting Ms. Indira Chantal Lodge on stage. Give her a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to say it in Creole that we use in Belize. Good morning, everybody. So can you repeat that for me? Good morning. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
That's good. My name is Indira Log. I am the director for the Department of Youth Services in Belize. I represent 1/4 of Belize's population. We are a population of approximately 458,000 people in Belize. So 1/4 of that represents Belize's population. So as I begin, good morning again to all distinguished guests, colleagues, and young leaders. Taiwan has long been a valued development partner to Belize, and it gives me great honor here today to represent my country and the people, the young people of Belize, alongside my delegation to the 2026 Global Youth Trends Forum, a platform for leaders from across the world, and most importantly, our youth, to network, exchange knowledge, and build bilateral relationships that will shape an environment worthy of future generations to come. For Belize and the Caribbean, climate change is not a theory, it is a lived reality. We see it in our coastlines disappearing, the stress on our agriculture and food security. Climate change has now created greater anxiety in the anticipation of stronger natural disasters that affect national development. We share the same goal like Taiwan. We are centered on building a smart, low-carbon, inclusive, but resilient mobility system. The vulnerable population is most affected by these severe climate incidents, and our young people stand to be most at risk. Therefore, they must be at the forefront to help shape these solutions. Firstly, when we speak of sustainability, we are not discussing ideas. We are discussing the world our youth will inherit. We are speaking about whether our beaches, forests, clean water, or coral reefs will only be a thing of the past. Responsible environmental action is not only about protecting nature. It underpins national security, economic stability, and social responsibility. To place young people at the forefront, they must be given the tools and skills to lead. Let's applaud those who are already mobilizing, creating recycling enterprises, restoring ecosystems, and building digital campaigns to shift public thinking. As governments and institutions, our responsibility is to meet their courage with investment, to make sure they are supported, trained, and funded to build sustainable futures they envision. In Belize, we are focused on prioritizing youth-led environmental initiatives, including community conservation, renewable energy demonstrations, climate-smart agriculture, and coastal restoration efforts. We recognize the meaningful that meaningful youth leadership requires more than opportunities. It requires access to training and certification, building capacities, mentorship and technical support, funding opportunities, and youth innovation spaces and platforms that allow young people to participate in policy making. Young people can only transform the world when we transform the systems around them to make that leadership possible. Secondly, as the world transitions to green industries, we are witnessing not just an environmental movement, but a revolution in the job market. Around the world, a new labor market is rising, one built on solar energy, sustainable farming, green construction, climate-smart tourism, marine conservation, and circular economies, creating pathways for national development. Belize is now working to integrate green-collar training in our youth development agenda for young people who want to enter these sectors. We must prepare our young professionals for this reality. When we invest in green-collar jobs, we reduce unemployment, strengthen communities, accelerate climate solutions all at once. Our goal is simply not to prepare young people to participate in the future economy. Our mission is to prepare them to lead it. Today, I encourage us, governments, institutions, and youth bodies to explore bilateral relationships that will allow young people to network and exchange ideas, collaborate on regional and global projects, learn from innovations in countries like Taiwan, gain exposure to climate policies, and build leadership capacities and international competencies. No country can do this alone. If we want to build a world where youth are prepared and resilient, we must build bridges. These partnerships will equip young people with the skills, confidence, and global mindset necessary to create safe, sustainable, and prosperous environment for today and the future ahead. As I close, I speak directly to our young people. We often say youth are the future, but the truth is the future is now. Let's use this platform to deepen partnerships, share technical expertise, and attract funding for youth-led innovation, because when youth rise, nations rise. And when nations rise, our world stands a chance. Do not wait for permission, validation, or the right time. Come together, collaborate, lead, and create the world you want to live in. A world where sustainability is normal, where green jobs are abundant, where equity is protected, and where our planet is respected. You are not simply inheriting this world, you are building the next one. From Belize to Taiwan, from the Caribbean to the Pacific, let us commit to a global youth movement that does not wait for the future. Let us build it wisely, bravely, and together to combat climate change and secure a sustainable future for generations to come. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Indira Chantal. Thank you so much. It's truly an inspiring words and message to all the young talents here in the venue. And next up, we would love to hear the voices from Europe. We're going to welcome the Deputy Chair of Jung Liberal Berlin, Germany, Mr. Max Kyle Lindemann, to be on stage. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. First of all, big thank you to the organizers and our Taiwanese hosts for having us. It's a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation and for the opportunity to speak in front of you today. My name is Max Lindemann. I'm the former co-chair of the Young Liberals Berlin, a youth organization tied to the Free Democratic Party in Germany. In the area of sustainability, we mainly focus on market-friendly and empowering climate action to encourage young people and also the entire society to take part. I would like to use this opportunity to talk about the situation of how the debate around climate change action nowadays looks in Berlin and in Germany, how it has developed over the last 10 years, what strengths I think we have currently, and where I think that we still have some work to do, and where we maybe can learn from you and implement some of the perspectives that we learned today. I think it's not boasting and honest to say that Germany has made immense progress in the area of decarbonization and in the area of fighting climate change over the past 10 years. In the year 2023, we had the first year of majority green energy within our grid of a share of 57% of the energy mix. That's as a country that doesn't have access to geothermal energy or other sources that are very stable and easy to come by, but rather through mainly solar and wind power. We're home to the largest green transition industry project in all of Europe, and we've continuously managed to reduce our CO2 footprint and our CO2 output year after year over the past decade. And these are all immense, immense successes that we are very happy to be host to. And over the past years, there was also immense social support for this change. However, with tides changing around the world and the environment changing, with global conflicts, deglobalization, and very immediate political issues that impact voters and society in Germany on a day-to-day, very palpably, very immediately. We're struggling right now with the with lacking attention to climate change matters right now, even though, as we all know, right now more than ever in history, this is one of the most urgent topics. So the question for us is, how can we empower our society again to focus on these issues more? It's with these changes in the political environment over the past years, as I said, climate change has taken a backseat in the attention of the population, and there are what we think a couple of reasons for this. Next to other topics that are obviously overshadowing and captivating the attention of the population, we also think that climate change in Germany, less so than in the past, is not so much connected to a positive storytelling and a positive storyline that enables and frees people and provides opportunities. Right now, climate change is viewed in a light of a dangerous and a negative impact that is maybe scary to some people. And how do we deal with these two issues? So first of all, the overshadowing by other topics, but also with this negative storyline that impacts our ability to do even more than we currently are. We want to, and we need to as a country, focus on straightforward and easily understandable regulation that empowers people instead of confusing them, instead of making them feel small, instead of making them feel instead of making them feel insignificant in their role. We want to empower people to take up responsibility for achieving a positive impact on the climate within their own lives and within their means and what they are capable of doing as an individual. And for that, as I said, we need straightforward, easily understandable regulation that empowers people. We shouldn't underestimate the creativity and the ingenuity of people in finding adequate solutions if the framework set by legislation is correct. And the second point, where I think some frustration may build up, or where some frustration may come from, is the feeling that one is maybe alone in this issue, and that there is not enough complete societal support for the issue, for one's own actions to be sufficient to mean something. And something that is very, very important to address this are international conferences exactly like this one, and very, very close international partnership. It's absolutely vital for people to feel like they're being taken, they're part of a movement, and not just as an individual without any powers in this matter. In this context, thank you very much again for the hosts and for the nation of Taiwan of hosting this very wonderful event. I think it's an immensely valuable contribution. We're very eager to hear the perspectives from the other countries. We're very eager to learn what we can implement at home in Germany. And next to the successes that we have had in the past, I think we can all grow together, we can all learn from each other, and let us all improve and tackle this issue together in a positive manner, in an inspirational manner, with such a wonderful atmosphere as we've had here today. And we're excited to hear from the other speakers. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Max. Thank you so much. And continuing to hear the voices from Europe, we're going to welcome the president of the Student Union for Humanities and Theologies at Lund University. Let's welcome Ms. Elizabeth Ross Lindahl. Welcome. Great, and we're joining by the team again. Ladies and gentlemen, give three of them a round of applause. The welcome from Taiwan.
Hello, everyone. Good day or good eftermiddag, eller förmiddag. My name is Elizabeth Rose Lindahl, and I am the president for the Student Union for Humanities and Theology at Lund University.
Yes, and good afternoon. My name is Erik Serenius, and I am the CFO of Helsingkrona Nation in Sweden.
And good morning, and my name is Magdalena Zacek, and I'm the president of the Sustainability Committee at the Stockholm School of Economics. And the three of us come from very different social and academic backgrounds, but something that we have in common is our common passion for youth leadership and sustainability, but also a system where student influence is formal, protected, and taken seriously.
But what are these fundamental conditions? Well, firstly, student influence in Sweden is protected by law. And secondly, there is a strong culture of voluntarily student engagement where leadership is practiced, not postponed.
And building on these conditions and coming from the perspective of the humanities, sustainability, as we have heard here today, is not only about the environmental aspects. It also depends on democracy, critical thinking, and social resilience, which is why real student influence matters. But what does that look like in in real life. At Lund University, student influence is embedded across all different levels, from departments and institutions, all the way to the university and the national policy making, all through the student unions. Students are formally represented in decision-making bodies that shape education and the student experience, and we actively participate in university governance. Recently, for example, me and my colleagues helped deciding on a university-wide AI policy in which the use of AI and its social, ethical, and environmental aspects are regulated for both the university employees and the students. So together, these structures ensure that student influence and the leadership in Lund is not just symbolic, but embedded in shaping our education, our institutions, and in the long run, our society.
But beyond the opportunity to influence decision makers politically, students in Sweden also have a long tradition of exchanging experiences in more informal settings. In Sweden's largest student cities, the nations come in, and there are like legally established nations that arrange various of daily events, which is one purpose, to bring together students from different faculties to one shared social environment. They offer the perfect place to enjoy purpose with enjoyment. And a student nation is filled by inspiration, and this might be a reason why Sweden is a country shaped by entrepreneurship and innovation. Many environmentally driven solutions are born simply by having a forum for students from, example, social sciences, engineering, and economics to have one place to gather and spread their information. Not entirely unlike the opportunity we have to exchange experiences here in Taiwan.
And finally, to place sustainability at the core of how future leaders understand markets, society, and responsibility, at the Stockholm School of Economics, we try to go beyond having student representation on boards, in politics, and in different research centers. Our mission is to connect all students, no matter their backgrounds or their interests, to sustainability. So whether you're interested in finance, entrepreneurship, marketing, or fashion, at the Stockholm School of Economics, we try to incorporate sustainability into your interest to showcase that it's not an add-on, but an imperative part of how to shape the future and what you believe in.
Yeah, and that is why it's very important to remember that no matter who we are, or which university we represent, or which student organization we have a part of, we are all a part of the same system, a chain, and the same potential that ensures that student voices are heard and acted upon.
By giving students real influence, Swedish universities cultivate democratic and sustainable leadership in practice. And together, we believe that we are a part of creating a more sustainable society in every aspect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Eric and Madeline. Thank you for the sharing. Thank you. And back to Asia, we would love to invite the International Director of Operations of the World Youth Alliance. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Naomi Alexandra Metier-Viteri. Welcome.
Hello everyone, thank you for inviting us today. My name is Naomi Mier, I'm 22 years old, and I work as a project officer for World Youth Alliance Asia Pacific. World Youth Alliance advocates for a person-centered approach to policy, one that places the human dignity, solidarity, and responsibility at the heart of development, sustainability, and peace. We offer many leadership opportunities for young people like all of you around the world. I want to start with a personal experience right here. So this is a picture of my marine science class back in high school. Here, next to me, at the left, is my friend Linnea. Through the United World Colleges IB program, we supported the government of British Columbia in Canada by free scuba diving lessons that we receive with one condition, that we will collect plastic every week in order to clean the environment in Esquimalt Lagoon mudflats, as you can see in our boots. This program has been going on for 50 years. Out of this experience, I changed my understanding of sustainability. For this, I think that teenagers, young people, and young professionals should be actors that are trusted, educated, and personally involved in diverse ways. So, five years later, I met my friend Linnea again, this time in the Philippines, the delegation I'm representing today. We talked about our current research fields, as we both do public policy evaluations and monitoring, and we found out ourselves asking the same question. Despite having strong technical policy designs and scientific grounding, we are frequently failing to produce durable outcomes because implementation is treated as a technical phase rather than a social process. One that indeed depends on legitimacy, trust, and sustained participation at community level. My research focuses on indigenous population in the Amazon, particularly health and environmental protection policies. I recently finished my fieldwork on the Amazon region in Brazil, Peru, and Ecuador. Linnea, on the other side, studies fisheries policies and environmental conservation and biodiversity laws in the Philippines. Despite the very different context, we observe the same pattern, and is that policies were technically strong, evidence-based, and internationally supported, and yet many of them were not meeting their implementation goals. Some policies generated ethnic conflict and even displacement of vulnerable communities. Protection was often framed through control, restriction, surveillance, and enforcement. Communities, especially young people, is treated as beneficiaries or sometimes as obstacles, but rarely as partners. In World Youth Alliance, we work to change this perspective. We believe that young people can be communication bridges within all of the policy cycle, let it be from the agenda setting to the policy evaluation, because our feedback matters and our real-life experiences translate these policies into families and daily-based experiences. So, to go beyond the policy cycle, we know that the three pillars of sustainability are well known as economic development, social development, and environmental protection. It feels like there is still something missing. Without local support, even effective policies will lose legitimacy, and sustainability without people is proven fragile. So, what is missing? The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development tries to approach this issue, starting with the 5 Ps: people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. We want to focus on the interdependence pillars that only function when they place the human person at its center. So when people are excluded from decision making, then partnerships weaken. And when policy and dignity is overlooked, peace becomes fragile. When responsibility is imposed rather than shared, progress does not last. So, For young professionals to have a critical role to play within the policy cycle, we want to translate institutional language into lived realities and communities. We do this through our educational programs at World Youth Alliance. The functional governance is where policy meets families, culture, and everyday choices. For this, we want to express some of our foundational character philosophies that we share at WAYA with our Human Dignity Curriculum and Certified Training Program, which is our dignity empowers us to internalize a universal sense of responsibility and solidarity. And we believe that solidarity can change societies for good. So we have to start very young, forming values since high school, elementary school, towards college, and even older environments. For this, we want to proceed by some of the ideologies regarding population that make seem the human person as an issue instead as problem solvers. Sometime in the next 15 years, the end will come. That was something that came by the CBS News in 1970s because they felt like the capacity of the planet was not able to support humanity anymore. And controlled population policies became very popular and even engraved in the UN language. Guaya believes that while yes, natural systems have real limits, development outcomes are not predetermined by source scarcity alone. They are shaped by how societies organize knowledge, institutions, creativity, and ethical choices. Human ingenuity has always been successful in overcoming crises that once seems inevitable, haven't we? We want to place climate action as education, where we get to practice from policy to practice knowledge in the continual pursuit of truth, developing skills and professional competencies to objective values like freedom, solidarity, and dignity. To conclude, I would like to emphasize that science tells us what's happening, and then policy decides what to do, and we decide whether it works. So if we invest in the human person, the outcomes will become durable, just, and effective. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So from the time being so far, we've listened to opinions and perspectives from either the political department, from policy side to international advocacies, from different NGOs or different funds, different associations around the world. I believe, as what we mentioned at the beginning of the forum, no single path towards sustainability, but keep communicating, keep opening up the dialogue and taking our step forward to take the courage as you attend the forum of the day. And now we are going to move on to the panel discussion time. There will be approximately 20 minutes to give it a talk. I will throw some questions to our speakers of the day, and then we'll open the floor to each and every one of you, and we will welcome your opinions, your comments, your feedback toward the speakers of the day. And today we are very important to highlight the dialogue of the day, to remember that this is about powering sustainability, and this is about the use, the green color, and about how are we going to take actions. So now we are going to welcome back again our distinguished guests, the speakers, to come back to the stage. First of all, we would like to invite Mr. Joshua Ampersand again. Welcome. And also we want to invite Mr. Vincent Chen to come back to the stage again, and let's have a talk together to further discuss about the sustainability, about the issue of the day. Okay, so without further ado, I believe that we have so many insights and perspectives to share more to our youth, to the young talents today. So we'll start with Joshua, that from your sharing, I'm very impressed that how are we going to take actions in multiple countries and to different young talents, considering of their backgrounds, considering of their culture, historical, society, informations, and policy influence. So first of all, from your perspective, I mean, now we've all seen so many young talents who's being very motivated, but we still want to know how are we going to enlarge the influence to different societies to empower more young people to join the action.
Thank you very much. And first of all, I want to say that I've been really impressed by all the different young leaders who spoke just now. Very impressive. And this is the reason why we started a Youth Climate Justice Fund, so we can fund and support groups like this. So please do reach out to us, and I hope that many of you apply to the fund to get funding for your work. On collaboration and how do we scale this work, one of the most difficult things in the world we live in now for young people is something that I believe Max or Carl said, a representative from Germany, from Berlin. The feeling of being alone in a world with so much complexity. It's not just climate. It's the wars, it's the cascade of the impacts of climate, it's the economic struggles, it's the crackdown on democracy, it's the rise of populist government. All of this makes it difficult to be a young person in the world we live in today. Because you look ahead of you and you think, what would the world look like 10 years from now? And it feels very difficult to imagine that. And I think that the way to scale effort on the work that we do now is by being in community. And being in community, one of the things that was mentioned earlier was conferences like this and many other forums that exist for young people to meet each other. But another thing that I found very powerful is realizing that young people are not alone in this case. When I first had my partnership as a student with a local municipality, I went to the city office and I wanted to do something about waste management. And I asked them, what are your plans for managing waste in this city? What are your vision for it? They were also feeling alone as city officials. They are paid to do the job, but they still felt alone because they look around them and there's a huge challenge, and they also sometimes have limited resources. By being together with them, talking to them, and having a space to co-create a solution with them, I did not feel alone, they did not feel alone. I think wherever you are in your journey, there is an opportunity to be in community with your colleagues, with your friends. The key way to that is to realize that there is not one way of solving the climate crisis. The moment you free yourself of the idea that, oh, this group of people, they don't know what is happening in the world, or this group of people, they do not understand what climate is. That is where the loneliness comes from. The moment you open yourself up and you are happy to connect with someone who is doing music, someone who dances, someone who is in the health sector, someone who is a bus driver. You can connect with everyone, and believe me, they will have a climate story to tell you. That is how we stay in community, and that is how we create collaboration that allow us to feel empowered and to have collaboration across backgrounds, across countries, across race, across ethnicity, across economic opportunities. So I think the first step for me and my key advice is don't get stuck on the idea that there is one way of solving this problem, because there is no silver bullet for the climate crisis. And the same way there's no silver bullet for the economic and the social injustices we live in today. We have to collaborate across several fields.
Great point. That makes me think back when I was still a university student, like most of you are. So that was like years ago when we only kind of could think a way if we want to be engaged to the sustainability related project and topic. But 20 years later, now we have so many careers related to climate issue, related to sustainability issues, that we are even talking about green collar. So it becomes like different world, different vision, and the imaginations are far beyond. So that reminds me to the one question. What is the definition for green collar for you, Vincent? As the private sector, as an advisor for the young talents.
For myself, I spent my whole life to explore what the meaning of what you just talking about. What you just asked, what is the green color? Because I start with the environmental protection very early in the year of 1994. I joined the United Nations to protect the endangered species. Then later, 10 years later, then I joined the Delta Electronic Foundation. So my work always change, depends on what the environment need. So from the endangered species protection to when I joined the Delta Electronic Foundation, because I thought all the pollutions all come from industry, but we are working a lot to prevent that kind of pollution or the species loss. So I decided to go to the sector of the industry. So that's quite a different story. I mean, so I work on like a green building, like the energy issue, renewable energy. So I work for over about 20 years. Then now I left Delta Electronic Foundation. I go back to school. I got my PhD degree. Then I teach at the National University. I teaching AI to apply to the sustainability. So now I'm also the teacher at the university, and I still trying to
try to understand,
define,
try to define.
What does that mean, the green color? So I'm sorry, I don't have
But that's a very precious experience from Vincent that's echo to what I was mentioning earlier, that 20, 30 years ago, everything is about environmental protection, indigenous species. How are we going to protect the polar bear, the things, the sea animals and everything. And then we're transferring to talk about climate crisis, the CO2, the ocean problem, the garbage problem on the oceans. And now we kind of like broaden the horizon, talking about the green career. And it can be about justice, it can be about fair, welfare, and anything, even related to AI.
Yes.
There will be talk about the technologies. It's really, I would say, fast forward, moving around related to the industry, that it's not what we were imagining before. But how about you, Joshua? The green color, the definition, do you have your answers?
Well, I think, green. We keep coming up with technologies in this field, right? When I think of circular economy as a good example, very nice terminology, but it was something that have been done by communities for many years, and we come up with a very fancy terminology to call it. When I think of green-collar jobs, I really think of it as jobs that allow people to protect dignity of one's life, dignity of the planet that we live on, and dignity of the responsibility we have to leave the planet in a better place for the next generation. It is not something that is necessarily related to environment and climate. I think of it as jobs that are related to protecting ourselves as people and as a race, as humanity, protecting the ecosystem and the resources that we rely on, and being able to really live in a planet that we have complete harmony with nature. What that will mean is that someone who is working on financial, freedom, I'll consider that as a green job. Someone who is working on being able to support informal workers to have better access to economic opportunities as a green job. Someone who is working on regulations on how AI, which is obviously now part of our future, how that can protect the rights of indigenous people and local communities, that is a green job. So I think of green job really from a very sort of people and planet-centric jobs that really prioritize humanity and prioritize what it means to be a human, what it means to have that responsibility to our community, to ourselves, and to the planet.
Yeah, and among the whole evolutions, I would say there should be some core competencies among the young talents. So if we're talking about the core competencies, what would be the most critical in your mind?
For me, the number one is systems thinking. I think we are losing that in the world we live in today. And I think the reason for it is that we are living in a very highly polarized world. That everything you see on the news, everything you read is putting something against the other. And it's by default making us grow in our mind thinking that it's always one thing versus the other. One thing versus the other. And the more we grow in a polarized world, the higher the chances that we keep thinking that there is a single path and a linear path towards the future that I want, and it's me against you. And that is a bigger problem that we have today. And we need to be able to work towards a system thinking approach where what I want needs to take into consideration what all of you want. What country A wants to achieve needs to take into consideration the consequences of that against every other country. What we want to achieve by reducing emissions should not necessarily put another country at risk. And I think this is the biggest challenge I've seen with climate. All the climate targets and goals that I've come across typically is designed in a way that as you are achieving as you're achieving decarbonization, you are inherently putting something else at risk, right? And I'll give you a very good example because my academic background is disaster management. When a country has incidents like, say, floods, if the flood is in a city, the immediate response from the city officials is always to think about what is the most critical assets within the community. Critical assets will include where is the bank, where is all our money at, where is the telecommunication, where is the internet, where is our financial district. This becomes the most important part of the city they want to protect immediately. Because the more that gets damaged, the more cost they have to rebuild. But by prioritizing that and protecting that, what happens? You're able to secure all those spaces, but you leave the poor part of the community to even become more poor. Because by the time you protect all your critical assets, everyone else have been left to suffer a greater damage. And those are the exact same people who have less capacity to rebound or to bounce back after the climate effect. And I think these systems, this way of thinking, and this way of looking at things is the biggest threat that we have. If we can really generate a new generation, and this is a challenge to all of you, to really think about the world you're going to build and the world you want to have in the future as a world that is not I against them or we versus them, but it's us and a collective us where we can all get to a place where we have low carbon future, we are all resilient, we have economic freedom, we have better healthcare and better mental health, which is one of the biggest crises we have today, and it's not polarized. That would be a very, very, very good starting point.
Okay, very practical as always, Joshua. As experienced expert, Vincent, I have a question for you. If we're going to give advice or based on your experience of sharing, what is the small yet tangible actions that our young people can start doing and by taking their practice towards sustainability?
We all know the climate is changing and the nature is also changing, and even intelligent like AI, artificial intelligence is also changing. So we are facing this changing world. So, but however, I'm from the academic side. I think scholar maybe not changing. So I think the most important is that we keep it in the mindset, how we decide to do and how we care. So from my talk, our founders say, actually we are not sacrifice the natural resources to live, but we should do a good choice, a design choice to decide to how to harmony with the environment and the nature. So I think that's the meaning of the sustainability, and so we always keep in mind and keep in our mindset, and for personal career, we can find all the solution from the current changing challenges.
I see. And always get ready for the challenge and not afraid of being failed. I guess that's one of the most important things. So now we're going to open the floor to all our young talents who have some comments, questions, or feedback to our speakers. Any volunteers that would be on the floor who would love to talk and speak to our speakers? Yes, we have from table 6. Please, yes, we'll have the microphone to you. And please introduce yourself a little bit and then the question.
Hi, thank you all for the inspiring sharing. My name is Julia, and I'm from the Youth Advisory Council of the Youth Development Council. And I have one question for each speaker. So for Joshua, I am curious about, although myself haven't got tired yet, but how do you balance between your personal well-being and to fight for climate change? And as for Vincent, I am curious about your perspective on how to strengthen the collaboration between the government and the cooperation in Taiwan and also maybe other parts of the world. Thank you.
Love the question. I always want to know how you do the work-life balance.
Well, my colleagues that I work with think that I'm very bad at this. Right? They think I'm the worst when it comes to work-life balance. But I think I'm getting better. What I do is that I like dancing. I'm African. I like to dance. So, every now and then I try to get myself to a good dance party, and I dance my way out of it. The second thing I do, which really holds me grounded, is I do wildlife photography as a hobby. And, every year I try to do one trip where I go to a national park and I try to capture as many birds, as many animals as I can, and I document them. And the reason for that is that I grew up in a very rural area, and we had life around us all the time, with snakes, birds, all of that. Of course, as you grew up, you realize that life would take you to cities and to other parts where you wouldn't have the advantage of having this. And one of the things that always reminds me of the reason why I do what I do is the appreciation of growing up in a place where there was nature everywhere. So I do wildlife photography to remind myself of that, and that really keeps me grounded. So those are the two things I do to keep some sort of a balance. Yeah.
I would say mental healthness, exercise, and what would be your background music then? What's your BGM for dancing? Okay, to Vincent.
How we cooperate with the government and also the community. For government side, we all know the situation over the Taiwan, especially when to participate in the international society, we have that kind of, we have the barrier. So today when I saw the Mr. Pen, actually we worked together for a very long time. So we joined the COP, especially the COP of the UN event. So, but for our government, we fully support our government to participate in international event. But I think most of you know we have that kind of difficulty to join the international society. For Delta Electronic, we grew up, became an international brand, especially in the power supply issue. So that for this sector, we became an international company. So we really hope to help with our government to join all the international event to bring the trend of this world back to this land. So we also cooperate with a lot of local university, Taiwanese university and the community. So we try our best to work together for the sustainability of this planet.
Thank you, Vincent. And any Students, or yes, we have one from the back of the venue. Can we help pass on the microphone?
Which one?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so thank you. I'm Claire. I'm from Germany, and I'm studying economics and politics. And my question is for you, Joshua. So I really liked your talk about like sustainability needs to be socially fair, because like we're from Germany, so like as Max already mentioned, that we are like a country that has a lot of solar technology, and the minerals that we use is mined in like countries from Ghana. So now for me, I really need to know, or I really want to know what we can do to like make this socially more fair. I like that you mentioned the collective us. So what can we do as young people in Germany to like form more this collective us? Thank you.
Well, I mean, thanks for the question. And I'll share my personal story with you. When I started my work on climate, I believed in one thing. The one thing I believed in was that adaptation and resilience is the true climate action. And the reason I believed that was because I was coming from a community that was constantly seeing the impacts of climate change, floods, droughts, and all of that. So whenever I heard a young European or someone from Europe or the US say, oh, we need to phase out fossil fuel, I was like, yeah, great, but that is not going to stop the floods and the droughts from happening in sub-Saharan Africa. I think the true climate action should be adaptation and resilience. Then, fast forward, I got a chance to do my studies in Germany, and I was living there. And I got to see, of course, the impact of the fossil fuel industry and how, of course, the propaganda, the disinformation, the misinformation, and all of that. And I got to realize that for the reality, or for the life of someone living in Europe, fossil fuel industries were the biggest problem, and we need to shut them down. And then I believed in that too, right? And I started advocating for that as well. I think the way that we can really build that relationship for the collective us is something I call relational capital. We need to have a space in our life where we can build relationship with people who do not come from the same background, the same place, the same ideologies, and the same thinking as we do. The moment we build those relationships, we will get to understand much better what they are going through. So I do believe with the World Youth Alliance on that statement that solidarity could help solve some of the world's biggest problems. Because to be able to really build better solutions, you need to not just have sympathy for someone. When you watch the news and you see that, okay, there is a hurricane in Jamaica, it is sad, you have sympathy for them, but until you actually know someone in Jamaica who is going through that, you wouldn't have empathy for that person. So what we would need is to build those relational capital with people from every part of the world going through different processes to understand what it truly means to be a young person mining minerals in Congo, to produce a cell phone in Europe or in the US, to then create a solution that can help solve that problem. So for me, the first call is that you are all here and you're building those relationships. The second thing is supply chains. No matter what a business tells you, whether in Europe, whether here, whether in the US, about their sustainability plans, the real way to find out is to look at their full supply chain. Where are they getting the materials from? Where are they sourcing them? What are the standards behind them? Because while the EU would have very strong policies for the production within their countries, sometimes those regulations do not apply to the supply chains of where they are sourcing their materials from. If you come together with your groups and collective, can start investigating those supply chains and start demanding accountability from those companies, that forces them to start applying the same principles they have in Europe to wherever they are getting their materials from. But I think those two things I will highly encourage you to do. Relational capital, building relationship with other youth organizations, in Africa, in Latin America, in Asia, to do joint projects. And then second thing, start looking into supply chains of the industries that you really believe are harming the planet, and yet have big ESG reports or big sustainability reports that says they are doing well. Look into their supply chain, you're going to find the details in there, and you can uphold accountability with them.
Yeah, of course.
When talking about the German, and I remember when I joined Delta at the year of 2004. Then next year, I got a mission to organize a high level of the Delta Electronic Company to visit German. We went there to learn not only the renewable energy and energy efficiency, and also to learn the sustainability of the German society. So that's 20 years ago. So now we have the office at the Germany. So we're still learning from German.
Still has many long way and to more communicating in between countries and companies. We will open floor for last questions. Anyone? Okay, we'll include two from table 7, starting from the gentleman.
Hi, good morning. Michael here. I'm the CARICOM Youth Ambassador for Belize, and also a youth development practitioner. I wanted to start by saying that you spoke on two things that resonated well in terms of we tend to think of sustainability in silos. It doesn't happen that way. As much as we would want to think that economic sustainability is important versus environmental sustainability, in a reality, in a real world, all of these are interwoven, which is very important. And then you also spoke of being amplifiers for those who might not necessarily be in the room. When we're talking about sustainability, it's a very newer trend for a lot of developing countries, Belize inclusive, a lot of the Caribbean countries, and a lot of the countries that are represented here. My question would be, from a person that has been doing this for so long, what would be some of your recommendations to ensure 3 things happen? 1, real inclusivity. And I'm talking about not just making sure that you have your racial quota. You have somebody from an urban area, a rural area, you have your Aboriginal. That's good for optics. And I find a lot of times in youth development implementation, that happens. But what would be some of the recommendations to make sure that there is real inclusivity? 1, particularly in liaising with government partners, other implementing agencies. And then 2, there is a challenge, and I say a challenge because I think I can speak for Belize, Ms. Indira as well, in saying that when you're engaging young people, we tend to be, as youth development practitioners, me myself, I'm a youth but also a development practitioner, we need to be representative and understanding of the issues that young people come with. And sometimes that translation is lost. We want to achieve a particular objective, but it's done in a way that implementers think is best, not necessarily from the lens of youth. So what would be some of the recommendations when it comes to that?
Great, and we'll again, continue to take the next question together and answer back.
Okay, hi, I'm Lily. I'm from Taipei. Now I'm studying my master in geography in NTU. And thank you for your valuable sharing. I have only one question that I think from the geography perspective, the economic also sometimes have a conflict with the sustainability. Like, as I know from Ghana, the mining of the gold is really important industry, but there have some human rights and also the environmental problem issue that will have cause the complexity of the how can we reach green or sustainability. As I want to know, like from the youth perspective, how can we realistically do for this kind of conflicts? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very good questions. First of all, thanks for the representative from Belize for that question on true inclusivity. What does this really mean? You know, I work at the UN, and my job at the UN, and I joined in 2021, was to bring the United Nations, and sort of that time in New York, the headquarters, and the Secretary General's climate action strategy closer to young people. And this is a difficult task because it was a time where youth movement did not trust not just their government, but also the United Nations as an institution to solve the climate crisis. Fundamental belief was that it's a lot of talk and there's no action. Right? This is just the general sentiment. And one of the things that I thought about was, well, how do we make the young person in a classroom on the street who is unemployed believe that the UN is doing their best to solve the problem, right? And this is the question to every institution. When you think young people are annoying, they are demanding, they ask too much, they are not asking too much. They just want to know, what the heck are you doing? What are you doing to the problem? And the only way to make them know is to bring them to become part of that institution. That is, for me, true inclusivity. So I helped set up something we call the Youth Advisory Group to the UN Secretary General. We brought 7 young people. They became advisors to the Secretary General. They get to learn what the Secretary General goes through in developing a strategy and getting countries to actually act on it. We did the same thing with other UN entities. Within UN country offices, we started having youth advisory groups, all bringing young people to become actually part of the design of the system in thinking, this is what we are doing, these are the challenges we face. Another thing that I helped set up, that is in about 16 countries now, is called the Youth Climate Councils. So a few countries now have youth climate councils where they bring, Sweden included, where in the Netherlands, Germany, in Ghana, in Sierra Leone, in Costa Rica, in Brazil, in a few other countries, where you bring a group of young climate leaders to become council members to the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Climate, and they get to review the policies that the ministry is developing. They get to consult with other young people about their views and bring it as part of the process. What that does is that it allows young people not just to sort of see the institution as the ministry is over there. They feel very close to the institution, and they get to dialogue with the institution on, here are the challenges we're getting from industry. Okay, we want to stop gold mining because it is not great, and it is causing a lot of child abuse and child labor. How do we stop that? At the same time, you have a lot of parents who are like, we want the mining to keep going because this is how we get our income. Through that dialogue and that process, every young person who is part of that gets to understand the real difficulty of developing those policies. So for me, those are very important. The third thing about inclusivity is literally approaching young people as peer partners. Now, this is very difficult to do in many countries in the world. The moment a young person enters the room, it's either they are there for the photos, or they are there so that the ministry or the institution can say, oh, we had young people as part of the program. But they do not approach the young person as, here is a smart, young, knowledgeable person with lived experiences that could actually help us in solving this problem. And that has to change. For that to change, we do not need to educate young people. We need to educate those institutions on how they engage with young people. And that is something that I focus on as well. The fourth thing that I'll say, and I'll end that, is paying people for their time. You need to pay young people for their time. And this is something that I really struggled with as part of my career. When I started working at the UN does unpaid internship. Now think about it. If you have headquarters like Switzerland, right, Geneva, or New York in the United States, how many young people from relatively developing countries can afford living in Geneva or living in New York? It's almost impossible, which means they will never get a chance to work in that institution, to internship there, and to eventually get a job in this reputable institution. So we need to break those barriers, pay young people when they become interns, right? Pay them when you invite them to events, pay them when you have consultations with them, and report back to them when you consult with them, which most institutions don't do. So those are my few tips around, how to do proper inclusion. And we've done the same with foundations, right? Foundations who set up a foundation and they want to work with young people, we ask them, who is the young people who is on your board? Is there young people in your advisory board? Is there young people on your board who actually help you guide the way you think about this? Then on the second question on sort of mining, economics, and sustainability, I think that, the world is not going to stop mining, right? We will need those materials, we will need those minerals to do it. It's the question of how do we do it sustainably in a way that, A, it gives us the materials we need to build the systems we want. It pays people, right, who are doing it the right amount of money that they deserve, right? So they are part of the profit of it. And thirdly, how do we not cause ecological damage through the mining process? All these three things are possible, by the way, except that industry wants to make us believe that it is impossible to mine and still be ecologically friendly or be able to pay people well. And I'll give you a good example. Ghana produces, and together with another country in Africa, produces 70% of the world's cocoa, what is used for making chocolate, right? 70%. And yet, they only get roughly, maximum, about 10% of all the revenue from the cocoa in the chocolate industry, right? This is a clear example of the raw material is not a problem. It's the way it is produced, the way it is used, and who holds the income and the money that comes out of it is a challenge. Back to my question about supply chains. If you can look at the supply chain of all the industries, investigate it, and hold them accountable, we will be able to get more income to the people who actually do part of that work and be able to uphold sustainability principles without making the world feel like we cannot raise our economy without destroying the planet, because we can build better economies while protecting our planet.
Vincent, you have anything to add on, to echo to the theme? Great. Okay, so this will conclude the whole panel discussion. Once again, let's give Joshua, Vincent a round of applause. And of course, the applause is to each and one of you. I believe we still have many comments or feedbacks. Always welcome to talk to the speakers during our break sessions. And now we are going to invite two of the speakers to join the photo together. Just on the stage, yes, and we would love to invite the Director General of the Young Administration to Ministry of Education, and also Julia to come up to the stage, the Secretary of the Deputy for the Ministry of Education, to join us for a group photo together. So once again, Ms. Chen, the Director General of the Ministry of Education, and also the Deputy Director General as well, to join us to the photo together. Yes, we have 5 of our distinguished guests to stand in the front. 我们往左边一步好了。我们 move a little bit toward to the left-hand side to have the group photo together. Great. Oh, to the right-hand side a little bit. So we can conclude the logos and 2026 Global Youth Trends Forum, powering sustainability to take actions from all the young talents. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Vincent. And a big applause to Youth Development Administration, to Ministry of Education here in Taiwan. Thank you. Please return to your seats. And now this concludes the morning forums from now on. And we will be back at 1:30 for afternoon session. During the break time, we already prepare your lunchbox outside the venue. Feel free to get some refreshment, talk to your peers, or communicate it with our distinguished guests and speakers. Once again, thank you all. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. That's a great morning together with each and one of you, and we still have afternoon and tomorrow to be here. Thank you so much, and wish you a very pleasant day. And please remember to come back at 1:30 for our afternoon program. We look forward to seeing you again.